Hello, Subtext Stars. So today we are going to be looking at something different. We are going to be looking at how we can fetch data using params in Next.js. So this is actually one of the latest features that Next.js talked about in the recent conference, and I thought to share with you guys what the params does and how it fetches dynamic data to your page. And just like other Next.js videos that we've created in the past, we are going to start off by creating a Next.js application, so using the syntax. But I also want to highlight that Next.js has also included a really great compiling feature for which is called the table pack. So basically what this table pack will do is that it will compile our application very, very quickly. So that's one of the latest changes to Next.js. So right here, we are just going to be going through the installation of the Next.js application. So if you're like me that loves Next.js framework because of its server-side rendering and its image optimization and all of the good stuff that Next.js framework gives your application, then this is definitely something you want to check out. So what we have here is we're just going to wait for the application to come up to install. And when it is installed, we can see all of our files on the left hand side, of course. So we just want to cd into that directory. That is what we want to cd into. So now we are in our project directory, which is great. So we just want to make sure that we can also see the application. We want to make sure that our Next.js app is currently running at the port that it needs to be running in. So we are currently hosting that at 3002. Okay, so that works very well. That's running very well. Now it's time for us to get into our codes. So just to save time, I've actually just imported use effect that we are going to be using to fetch our data, the use state, which would handle the interactiveness, and also I've installed Asias and of course created a file called product.model.css. Basically, this is where all our styling for this application is stored. And what I'm just doing right now is creating a variable for the products, and I'm using the use state. And also too, we are not just going to be creating a product variable, but we are going to be creating a couple of variables. But we just want to set all of this. And so we have the loading, and then we want to set that to loading. And we also want to use the use state as well in here. And just to give a couple of more tips about what this params does, it will allow us to query APIs very efficiently. It will enable us pass route specific parameters directly into an API endpoint. So the next thing I want to do is I want to define the parameters, right? So for this video demonstration, we are going to be using two parameters, which is going to be limit and sort. So the first limit, we are going to be we are going to be passing 10 to that. So basically what we are just saying is the number of products that will be displayed from the API will be 10. This can be set to 2, 3, 4, 5, any number you want, depending on what data is available in your API. And then we are going to be also creating another variable called sort and set sort, and this variable will actually be able to set to sort the data, which is the product that we are going to be retrieving from the API in an ascending or descending manner. So now we have defined both parameters. One of the real benefits of using params is that it will boost the performance of your application. I mean, you just think about it. If you're able to easily pass in data, easily retrieve data, easily route your data to different pages of your application, especially if you are creating a dynamic web application, right? It is so cool. So right now we are just going to be using the use effect function, and basically this use effect is going to enable us fetch the products. So that is what we want to do alongside with our ACES. So we are going to be using the async, of course, and inside this fetch product variable, we are going to use our set loading, and of course we are going to set the loading to true. And then what we want to do next is that we want to, of course, use our try and catch method to actually log in any errors that might occur while we are fetching the data. So for that, we are just going to be putting a variable, the response variable, where we will be using the ACES, and we just want to go grab the API that we want to utilize for this video demonstration. And there are lots of APIs available that you can use for your video demonstration. I'm just going to be using the Fake Store API. And basically I'm just going to copy the URL, and I'm just going to copy the URL and paste that in our response, because that's the URL we want to get data from. That's the API we want to get data from. So now we can utilize our params. So and that's just how it works. We just call it params. And we call in our limit variable that we created earlier on. And basically because we are passed in a limit number of 10, what this will do, like I mentioned earlier, it will just display 10 products. It will display 10 products on the page. We could have passed in 5, we could have passed in 2. So while playing around with the params, you can also decide, what number you want, or what product, the number of products you want to display as well. And also we are going to just call in sort as well, and this will also sort the products in an ascending manner or a descending manner. So one of the really, really good things I found about params was just how lovely it was to fetch data. And one thing that I noticed is that it reduced the redundant code that I would normally write. So I thought this was really, really great, because it just reduced all of those long codes that I would normally write if I wanted to create something like this. So we also need to get, of course, the data from the products that was set. So we are just going to have the set product and response.data. And of course, it's always important to console log any error that might occur while this data is fetching. So we are just going to be having console.error, and then we can just pass in something like error fetching products. And of course, we want to also pass in our error variable as well. Now, one thing you will come to understand about the params is that it just makes querying the API really, really efficient. A really great example would be when you are probably thinking of scaling your application and you need to fetch data in real time, and you have this large data that you are requesting a response from the API. So imagine how it will update your application really quickly, and also too the fact that you are it just improves code usability all around. So now we can just have our set loading. Of course, we're going to set that to false. So now what we want to do is actually call in our fetch products, and within the fetch products we actually want inside our fetch product to have our limit and our sort array. So we're just going to call limit, and of course we already have that defined there, and sort as well. We already have sort there. And so of course this is the time where we just want to return all our data to the client side. So using an if statement, we just want to say if data loading, well, we want to return a paragraph, and want to return something like a paragraph called just want to say maybe loading product, something like that. Based on the product.model.css file that we initially created, we are just going to be using that file to style our data that we are retrieving. So the all benefits of styling is, and if you've been following my videos, you know that I always love to style my data, and that's just simply because it just gives it that really nice look. So we are going to be taking the styles, and it's using each of the class names. I'm just going to calling the styles dot. So for this one, it's the controls, and like I said, this file, we already have it within our application, so we are just calling that styling from styles from product.model.cs. So now within our limit styling, we are just going to, so we're creating a label for limit as well. And for limit, we want it to be able to impute a number. So we're just going to be having the impute, and we've got so the impute type will actually be a number. Yeah, or would actually be a number. And we would also set the value, and as you can see, this limit label is just gonna be at the top of the client side page where we have the header called products. So when we set our input type, we also want to use the value of the limit, of course, that we've created. And we are just going to have an onChange event handler, which is going to handle the changes that a user decides to input in is that a user actually wants to change. So like, remember at the beginning I talked about how you can also change the number of products that will be displayed in your application. So now that we have that, we also just want to set the minimum. So of course we are just going to set the minimum to 1. And I think with that we can close the label for limit, because yes, we have the type, we have the value, and of course we have the set limit, which is the onChange event handler. So yes, we can so that is the limit button created. And we also want to create another limit label, not a button. So we also want to create another label, and this one is for the second params that we created, which is the sort. And so we want to have this one to have a select option. So you want to be able to select. Remember, initially we had created the parameters to have we wanted it to sort via either ascending order or a descending order. So we have the select value, and of course the value is the sort object. And just like the limit, we are going to be using an onChange handler as well. So when users click on the sort label, they should be able to select the options available under there. So we are just going to have set sort, and we want set sort to be to have the event dot target, and of course dot value as well. And we need to create the two options under the sort label. So we're just going to use the option tag. We're going to use the option tag, and we're just going to set the value to ascending, and of course we are just going to be using ASC, and we are going to have ascending there as well. And we are just going to create the same for descending. So now we're going to have both options for users to select from. So you can see how dynamically your data will change when your user clicks on this label. So now we have our limit label, we have our sort label. Now it's time to actually style the products that we will be getting from our API. So we are going to start by creating to style the product grid. So remember, these are products from an e-commerce API, and it would contain things like the image of the product. It will contain things like the product ID. It would have an image title. It will have an image description. It would also have the pricing as well of the products. So these are all of the different endpoints that we are going to be styling. So we are just going to have the product grid styling. And remember, we already have all of this styling in our products model.css. And so what we want to do here right now is that we want to be able to map all of the images that we've gotten from the API to the client server. And by doing this, we just call the products.map function, and we can just pass in products, and this would retrieve all of the products to our client side page. So now that we have that, we want to create a product ID. We also want to style our product ID as well. So we are just going to be using a div to do that. And we also have a style for the product as well. So we are just going to be calling the div we're just gonna be creating a div for that, and we are not gonna use a class name for this. We are just gonna use a key, because we need the product.id as well. So we are just gonna use an object, and we are gonna be passing product.id, and after that we can then use a class name to actually create a styling for our product cards. So we want to create a really nice card styling, and that has already been done in our CSS file. So we just call that product card, and we can then style the image that we are going to be retrieving from the API. So we're just going to call in image, and of course our image tag comes with the source, comes with the ALT, and as well as the class name. So we are just going to have product.image, and for our title as well, we're going to have the same thing. We are just going to have our product.title, and of course we want to style our image, and we are going to be using the class name to style our image, and within a curly braces, not a double quote, and we are just going to have styles dot product image. So now we have successfully styled our image. The next thing we want to style is okay, seems like there's a lot of space somewhere. So we're just gonna close that tag, and the next thing we want to do is that we want to style the title. So we are going to be using an h3 tag, and we are going to be using the class name, of course, and just like we have previously done with the styling, we are just going to call styles.product.title. And like I always mentioned, we are getting all of the styling from the products.model.css file. And we are going to be passing the product.title as well to this. Okay, I just wanted to double check the name of the yeah, just needed to double check, and it's called product title. And we can then pass in our product.title to retrieve that title, to retrieve all the titles and style it with the product title styling. Now the next thing we're going to do is the product description. We want to style the product description. We're pretty much doing the same thing. The only difference with the first one is that the first one was actually utilizing an h3 tag, which just simply means the title will be bigger than the paragraph tag. So we have the styles.product description, and we are going to be passing in the product dot description as well. So you can see that, when we leverage params effectively, like, it will definitely make our data fetching for dynamic data really, really straightforward and really, really great. So just because we already have that, and we just need to pretty much get the same for price, and it's pretty much the same, I'm just going to copy and paste that same code. And all I'm going to do right here is that I am just going to change the product description, and I'm going to change that to product price. And of course, the product description needs to also change to product.price as well. And the $, of course. So we're going to have that and product price. And so we have the title, we have the description, we have the price, we have the image, and we can close the div. We can have a look at what it looks like on our page. So as you can see, we have all our products displaying. We have our 10 products. This can also be changed. You can just change, input the number of products that you want to see. You can change it in an ascending or descending manner. So you can see how params just, makes data rendering really, really dynamic, and also makes your application look really great. I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching.